Hello, everyone. My name is Kirk. I'm an alcoholic. Uh, oops, wrong video. Sorry. I was on Tony and Tim's podcast earlier this year reviewing one of my favorite movies, Hitch. However, that did not make my top 10 list of all time. Starting at number 10, one of my favorite comedy movies, Blue Streak. Really the movie that put Martin Lawrence on the map, as well as Luke Wilson. I like it because like turning 9 years old, 10 years old, and I saw it. Humor that was easy for me to understand, mixed in with a little bit of things that I shouldn't be seeing so far in my life. What I'll also do is each one I'll talk about my favorite quote or my favorite scene from each movie. From Blue Streak, they have Dave Chappelle's character in the interrogation room. He's talking about another case that he has information on, which is Martin Lawrence's character, who he's pretending to be a police officer. One of the detectives asks, "What can you tell me about this other case?" He says, "I can't tell you much, sir, but all I can say is that he's gay." Gay. And that he's talking about Martin Lawrence as he's in the room. On his way out, his lawyer accompanying him out, and he says to her, and then he said I was ugly and couldn't read good. Yeah, I always remember that. That was number 10. Number 9, A Knight's Tale. The Heath Ledger period piece where he plays a non-noble in England who pretends to be of royal nobility in order to joust in these sorts of tournaments. I like this movie. I'm a Heath Ledger fan. His character in this movie is really fun. I like in the movie they bring today's history, and whether that be the stands of the jousting arena, clapping along to the We Will Rock You, or dancing to David Bowie. Early in the movie, quote that I like, encounter who is actually Geoffrey Chaucer, the writer of the Canterbury Tales. The next time you watch it, make sure to try to catch that. He's walking around naked. There he is right there. They're introducing themselves to each other, and he says, "I'm Sir Ulrich von Liechtenstein. Oh, and I'm Richard Lionheart. Nice to meet you." No, I'm Charlemagne. Nice to meet you. Good bit of banter there. Number 8, I have my favorite comedy of all time, Friday After Next, which I consider to be the greatest Christmas movie of all time as well. So this stars Ice Cube and Mike Epps, and now he's living with his cousin. Somebody dressed as Santa Claus came into their house, stole their Christmas tree and their presents. And now they're working security. My favorite quote from this is Day Day. He encounters a couple of older women, some grandmothers, on the corner singing Christmas carols, and he says, "La la 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 la," and I'm fuck all that shit. Y'all hoes got to get up off the corner with this shit. I know y'all hoes using the Lord to sell on this corner. You got to get up off. See you next Christmas, and it's not a family movie. Number 7, Donnie Darko. Kind of stereotypical time travel, sort of indie, dark comedy. I'm a Jake Gyllenhaal fan. Maggie Gyllenhaal, Patrick Swayze, a young Drew Barrymore. Donnie's just trying to fall in love with the girl. The whole time travel, talking. Bunny gets in the way. Frank. My favorite quote is Frank the bunny appears and Donnie thinks it's silly, so he's laughing. He's like, "Why are you wearing that stupid bunny suit?" And Frank says, "Why are you wearing that stupid human suit?" Number 6, Good Will Hunting, a buddy comedy if you've ever seen one. I like the friendship that Ben and Matt Damon's character have. Minnie Driver's hot. Robin Williams is great. Janitor at a university solves a problem on a chalkboard. Genius intellect. He doesn't have the emotional intelligence to keep Minnie Driver's character talk to Robin Williams, who's the therapist. My favorite quote from this, Retainer. Number 5, Jackie Brown, written and directed by Quentin Tarantino. Flight attendant. He's jammed up running drugs. Parole officer Max, he's an older gentleman, begin like sort of a romantic relationship. And my favorite quote, he's like looking at a photo of her from a while ago. All I really see is different is you had an afro. She says, "My ass has changed." He's like, "Is it bigger?" She says, "Yeah." And he says, That's not a bad thing," as the English call it. Cheeky. Number 4, Neil Umler and I used to rewatch this. The Dark Knight Rises. Not a huge superhero movie fan. Christian Bale, Michael Caine, Morgan Freeman, Anne Hathaway. The greatest movie character of all time, in my opinion. Bane, very worthy adversary. Favorite quote in the movie, paying Bane for protection. He gets in a confrontation with Bane. "You're gonna fucking lose. I paid you a small fortune. I'm in charge." And Bane puts his hand like on his shoulder. "Do you feel in charge?" Merciless, intimidating. Number 3 is another Tarantino. It's only written by Tarantino. True Romance. Based on the movie poster right here, you would think that this is a happy-go-lucky couple film. This is a gritty action film with some very intense scenes. Stars Christian Arquette no, sorry, Christian Slater and Patricia Arquette as lovers. They're in love after one night of knowing each other. She's a prostitute. Christian Slater goes to get her things from the whorehouse. Takes place in Detroit, by the way. Gary Oldman plays this pimp, and what a great character this guy is. He thinks he's a African American, talks like that. Ends up grabbing a bag filled with $1 million instead of her things. They're on the run. $1 million doesn't go unnoticed. Of course, the mafia. Christopher Walken plays there's a confrontation between Walken and Christian Slater's father, who is played by Dennis Hopper, who is great. And for the mob is trying to find Christian Slater's character. Dennis Hopper's character knows he's gonna die, egging the mob boss, talking about Sicilians, how Sicilians were conquered by the Moors, which were a largely African American population. With the dark hair and the greasy skin, Sicilians were spawned with African American, and he uses a different word, which I won't use. The courage that it took to sort of tell this guy off before he was about to get killed and shoots him in the face. Anyway, number 2, Training Day. Denzel Washington, Ethan Hawke. They make a great on-screen duo. I really like the movie because of the story it tells and the intricacies of the LAPD. Dr. Dre's in it. That's cool. My favorite scene in that movie is towards the end. Denzel Washington's character thinks he's safe. One of them points the gun at Denzel and says, "Hey, Jake," which is Ethan Hawke's character, "get up out of here." They're just tired of Denzel bullying them around. He says something along the lines of, "Oh, you disloyal, bitch-made, fool-ass punk. Y'all gonna be playing basketball in Pelican Bay. Shoe program. 23-hour lockdown. Secured housing unit." Number 1, favorite movie, The Departed. 2006 classic. Leo, Matt Damon, Jack Nicholson, Mark Wahlberg, Alec Baldwin, Martin Sheen. I can't remember the girl's name. She was great, too. It's the story of 2 moles in different units. So one person works for the Boston Police Department, but is inside Jack Nicholson's organized crime syndicate, and then there's somebody who is from Jack Nicholson's organized crime syndicate who's working in the Boston PD. The exchange of information, holes in certain information. It's a very woven tapestry. That's what appeals to me. A good mob movie, action scenes, good love story. Well, I mean, not really. The girl cheats on Matt Damon with Leo without giving away too much. My favorite quote from this movie, actually used recently at a certain electronics store. I got into a little bit of a confrontation with the manager. So that's another story for another day. But Mark Wahlberg uses this insult in the movie when somebody has a serious fuck up. "Who forged your transcript?" This is one of my favorite insults, and I just happened to slip it into everyday use, and it almost got my ass kicked. But hey, that's the wonder of going to the cinema and just watching movies. So that's my top 10. Looking forward to another year of Tim and Tony talk. Appreciate it.